Greetings from the set of Metro and More at Metropolitan Community College, serving more than 50,000 students with over 120 programs at our 8 locations in the daytime, evening, weekends, or online. Hi everybody, I'm your host Kent Pavelka, and welcome again to Metro and More. More of what you need to know about Metropolitan Community College. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to tell you about the Metropolitan Community College's Alternative Fuels Grant. And our guests are Kirk Ahrens, the Dean of Applied Technology at the college, and Chris Swanson, who is the Grant Program Director. Both these gentlemen have been on the show before, so you are familiar with them. But just by way of reiteration, maybe 30 seconds about your background here at the college, your tenure, and your responsibilities. Kirk, you want to start off?
Sure. Kirk Ahrens, the Dean of Applied Technologies for Metro Community College, which takes care of all the transportation programs and all the trades programs surrounding basically building anything from houses to commercial buildings to equipment and manufacturing.
And you've been at the college, I can't remember how long you told me.
Closing in, I'll be starting my 4th year here.
4th year. A former superintendent of a public school district in Iowa, as I recall.
Yes.
When you came to.
And I'm glad I don't have to call school off anymore because of weather.
Well, it's good to have you back to talk about alternative fuels. And Chris, you're the program director of this.
That's correct. Yep, I am the grants program coordinator for alternative fuels. I have been with the college for about a week less than Kirk, so be going on 4 years here soon as well. My professional background, I ran the Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance lead abatement grant here before coming on to the Alternative Fuels grant. Before that was just a lot of graduate school.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about alternative fuels as it applies to applied technology and Metropolitan Community College. You're talking about a grant that, was it a 3-year proposition? First of all, what is the Alternative Fuels grant?
Well, this started out about, as you mentioned, 3 years ago for us, and we were awarded $2.5 million to explore how does alternative fuels affect our programs at the college here, and what do we need to do to prepare for the different fuels that are in place and then that are coming down the line. We talked with all our industrial representatives we could find and focused on the traditional ones, the electricity, the biodiesel, and the new one starting to hit the market, compressed natural gas. We have a wonderful abundance of natural gas in the United States, and using it for transportation in replacement for diesel fuel in particular has become a very economically viable option for us.
Mm-hmm.
How did this all get started, though? I mean, federal money, right?
That's right. This is Department of Labor money. So it is focused on building capacity in transportation. Omaha is a big transportation hub in the center of the country, and we're really short on truck drivers and diesel mechanics in the area, as well as in the country. So the Department of Labor awarded us $2.5 million to do some job training and to help build up that network, that pipeline of high quality, well-trained employees in these industries.
Had you been looking for this kind of opportunity, this kind of help financially? I mean, the money became available. You became aware of it, applied for it. Did you know at the time exactly how you wanted to use it, or how did that work?
Well, we're always focused on our program and trying to make sure that we are matching what technology or what needs are out there in the industry. That's why we have advisory groups that we meet with as often as monthly with our various programs to say, what do you see coming down the line? What's your most pressing need for us? And when this came along, it was a great benefit for the college to jump ahead and say, okay, this particular set of skills are going to be needed for our instructors and our students to be useful in the industry. Simple things like I mentioned, compressed natural gas. The piping for that, it's under 3,600 pounds per square inch. It requires stainless steel piping. Just to bend, cut, and assemble that piping takes a whole set of skills we weren't necessarily teaching to the right people in the right places. So those skills and the equipment that is needed to teach those skills are now in place, and the curriculum is there, and we're pretty excited. We've moved ahead with that particular thing. And there's countless different examples of the same thing happening in my trades programs that we discovered, okay, wait a second, first responders will be coming out in an emergency. Is it a bus powered by propane like we see in the Omaha Public School District? Is it compressed natural gas in a truck? Is it diesel or gasoline? How do you deal with those now 4 different fuels for a first responder to look at and handle the situation? We've got a chance to change our curriculum, adapt our programs so that we turn out people that are well prepared for the environment they're going into.
Well said. That's great. Yeah, wonderful.
But I guess the underlying thing I'm learning here is that this is in the end had applications in the curriculum that you really didn't maybe know it initially it would have, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think like all big projects, you have a goal in mind and it changes over time, and we've been able to adapt this wonderful opportunity for different technologies. It did start off primarily as compressed natural gas, geared towards mostly CDL truck drivers and diesel mechanics.
CDL, now our viewers probably don't know what that
Absolutely. Commercial driver's license. So those are the over-the-road truckers. They're the big semis that are next to you on the interstate. We train those drivers.
But that's kind of what you were thinking myopically initially.
Absolutely.
CDL, compressed natural gas, let's go.
That's right. And the thing about alternative fuels is these new technologies are coming out every day. And so with a 3-year window, we've been able to adopt. We're starting to see more CNG vehicles and consumer vehicles like the police fleet that we have here, the cruisers, the pickup trucks. So we could take the CNG training to our automotive technicians as well,
You bet.
Our mechanics. But then also the biodiesel and the electric vehicles are starting to come out. And we've been able to take this great opportunity, this great pot of money, and work with a wide, basically cast a wider net in the alternative fuels area at Metro.
Yeah.
And Chris mentions our public safety department. Dave Friend has been a huge supporter of this. We found partners across the college, and he was one of the first and the strongest for us with his own fleet having compressed natural gas vehicles, and a real supporter of that alternative fuel.
Well, speaking of Dave, the police chief at Metropolitan Community College, we have a short video we want to show Dave explaining how it works with the fleet.
Great.
With several of the vehicles. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Dave Friend, police chief at Metro Community College, and we're here today to talk about compressed natural gas, specifically as it applies to a couple of our patrol vehicles. A couple of things to note about these vehicles: they're both available, commercially available vehicles, and you can see the difference in between the two. They both burn compressed natural gas, which is a fuel that's available in the United States. It's abundant, it's clean, and generally much cheaper than diesel, and until very recently it was cheaper than gasoline. And we've saved thousands and thousands of dollars for the college and the taxpayers over the last several years burning compressed natural gas, which has topped out at about $2 a gallon when diesel was almost $4 or above and gasoline was nearing the $4 mark. As you can see, this is a typical looking fuel door for this model of pickup, and it's marked CNG only. The system delivers the pressure at 3,600 pounds per square inch, and as you look inside, this is the fill nozzle, and the pump that you hooked up to this, or would hook up to this to fuel, and the handle looks just like a gasoline pump. The difference is that the little handle you would squeeze normally to dispense gasoline, you squeeze and it locks onto here, and then the pump reads the amount of pressure in the tank and knows how much to inject, and that's something that happens at the fuel pump. And the meter here shows that there's about 2,300 pounds per square inch of fuel in the tanks now. There are two 10-gallon tanks, or a 20-gallon equivalent amount of fuel that this truck holds, and when it's full it will read 3,600 pounds. As you can see, this is a standard motor for this type of a vehicle. Everything in this motor, with the exception of the fuel system, is standard. The conversion includes a new fuel tank, and then the fuel lines and the items that you need to pump the fuel up into the intake manifold where it's burned in the motor, just the same way as the gasoline is burned in the motor. This is also one of two Impalas that we have, that the college has, that is a compressed natural gas vehicle. The college has a total of 4 vehicles. The truck that we just looked at, there are 2 of these vehicles, and there's also a van that our facilities people use.
Okay, Dave Friend showing us, what are there, 3 or 4 vehicles now equipped with the police vehicles?
Correct.
CNG?
Yeah, there's three currently. Through the Alternative Fuels Grant, we're purchasing a fourth one for the expanding police fleet.
But there are other vehicles that are equipped. CNG, right?
Yep, all compressed natural gas right now. So we reached out to Dave Friend and the public safety fleet here, but also facilities with all the operations that they do around
Meaning?
the college. Right now we're buying them a maintenance vehicle that can go around to different buildings across our campuses, and it's a utility work vehicle that is CNG equipped as well. We've also bought a pickup truck for fire science so that they can actually do a lot of the first responder training. That's the compressed natural gas side of the house. We're also currently purchasing electric vehicles for Metro's basically commuter fleet vehicles. We have eight campuses around the region. We have a lot of staff, administrators, faculty that travel between those campuses in their own personal vehicles at 57 cents a mile. We're able to purchase these fleet vehicles and ideally save the college a ton of money in being able to transport between these campuses for a lot lower cost to the college.
Talking about MCC's Alternative Fuels Grant, and that part of the discussion is germane to equipping vehicles at the college, but it goes way beyond that in terms of training. And you mentioned, Kirk, your industry partners.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the industry out there and what they need in terms of educated students, and how you're doing that with this grant.
Absolutely. With all my trades area, we have an advisory group that supports them and gives us advice on curriculum, and also supports us as to helping us with jumping ahead with technology. We've had many generous donations from our advisors, and supporting us with recruiting students. That's another thing with scholarships. With the Alternatives Fuels Grant, we had to reach out to them in a different manner and say, okay, we can jump ahead with this grant. It's going to provide us X amount of dollars to get equipment and to provide staff. Where do we go with this? Where's your needs? And it's exciting to see, because they can open up our eyes to the differences. With my diesel, of course, they saw the compressed natural gas when diesel was over $4 a gallon, compressed natural gas was $2 a gallon. The economics were huge for them. And it's kind of fun. My automotive advisory group was speaking of, and these, at that level, compressed natural gas is just not working quite yet for the average driver to own a vehicle.
But it is out there.
It is out there, but you need to drive a lot of miles to make up the initial cost of converting over. But they said, we're seeing a lot of diesel start to show up on us. Can you help us out with diesel training? So we've reached out to our diesel techs now to help train some of our automotive skills with diesel technology.
Is that where the biodiesel comes in?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. So biodiesel is is an alternative fuel, just like ethanol is for gasoline. So one of the very cool things that we're doing with this grant is we're able to take the vegetable oil from our Culinary Arts Institute, process it into biodiesel, and deliver it out to our Applied Technology Center, where our truck driving students will actually use the vegetable oil in their trucks to drive around. So saving fuel costs. But you can convert any diesel engine, or you can apply biodiesel into any diesel engine.
You can.
So yep, absolutely. So it's a very easy to adopt alternative fuel for any diesel drivers out there.
So in terms of curriculum, we've got what areas are now impacted by Alternative Fuels Grant
Sure.
money, and how the programming and curriculum has changed?
Automotive, auto body, diesel, and CDL, the transportation programs at the college, are all immersed in this in a variety of ways, a variety of skills, even down to how tight do you tighten things up with the torque training that we've initiated with our programs. It's a set of skills that we needed to make sure that we're teaching absolutely the latest, greatest skills, and they walk out and they'll get the jobs first over somebody that might come from a program that didn't have those skills being taught. Surrounding that are the infrastructure items. If something breaks down in a compressed natural gas refueling station, it's probably going to be some sort of HVAC person
Right.
showing up. So we're going to need our HVAC people to understand the difference between just regular natural gas that comes to your house and compressed natural gas, which is 3,600 pounds per square inch. And that's a different character and a different level of skills needed to teach it. Electricity. If we're wiring up a building where there's going to be compressed natural gas vehicles worked on, there's certain code procedures that need to be put in place that deal with the gas should it escape from the tank. Are there detectors for it? Are the switches and the fans used non-combustible so that they won't start a spark? And so electricity shows up on our category. Then we start talking about designing it. We'll have to have our architects design those buildings in slightly different ways to adapt for it. So it starts reaching out, and then our friends in fire safety, of course, and first responders.
Yeah. Different ways to fight those fires, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but the really bottom line of bottom lines here is that industry, employers out there are asking for people to be trained with respect to all this, right?
Absolutely, yep. That was a huge demand. That was, it signaled to us the importance of this grant and how critical it was that we got it right. So we've developed quite a bit of curriculum that is online. Our transportation programs are geographically isolated from some of the other programs, and we wanted to be able to reach not just our students, but our industry partners and maybe anyone else who's interested in this type of training. So since these are federal dollars, we made all of our curriculum online and open to the public.
Cool.
So anybody can check it out.
And the website for that?
It's going to be housed on mccneb.edu/WID.
WID.
Look for alternative fuels link on that page.
Yeah, and you've got some videos on there, one of which is a concept, the discipline of defueling. What is that? Let's take a look at that too as we talk.
Okay. We have a defueling clip. Audio will be. You can check it out on YouTube on our YouTube channel.
There it is.
Defueling CNG is a critical part. If you want to work on a CNG equipped vehicle, you must defuel it first. As Kirk mentioned before, this is these tanks are under 3,600 pounds per square inch, so very dangerous if
you don't know what you're doing.
you don't know what you're doing. So it's important that we defuel it, let that pressure, depressurize the system, so that our students or employees in this area can properly work on these vehicles.
Yeah.
And I should say, alternative fuels are safe. Electrical cars, biodiesel, compressed natural gas, they're all safe within somebody well trained to handle it. But even a gasoline car is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And so we're trying to make sure that skills are there to address these different needs. And electrical cars came out. They've been out for years now. We had to equip our automotive students with gloves that we use in utility line for handling high voltage because of the high voltage batteries in there. Simple set of gloves, takes care of any risks that could possibly happen, but it was a set of skills that didn't exist before electric cars came along.
How much of this did you anticipate? All these details and twists and turns that have become reality when you started this.
Yeah, I think we're learning as we go, and I think that's most grants. We're trying to be on the cutting edge of these different technologies, and there's a huge learning curve for us, and I think that
it's all good though.
It is all good, and I think that's why it's important that we've really cast a wide net, brought in a lot of different faculty. We get their ideas on it, and their solutions as well.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, the faculty have really jumped in so many different ways to make this work and to find and address the needs that they could find. As you mentioned, it was a learning process for all of us to get into this because we didn't have this much capacity beforehand, and now we do.
Mm-hmm.
And even facilities reached out to us, public safety has reached out to us, fire safety, they're all on board with us and making a difference.
Well, the message, multi-layered message on the show here, twofold, I think, primarily. One, to industry and employers out there, know that MCC students are going to be trained with respect to all this. And then for prospective students, know that you're going to be trained with respect to all this, right? I
Yes.
mean, because that's not the case everywhere, I don't assume.
Right.
No, and I think to prospective students as well, take this training, you can get a job at the end of it. And I think that's a really important lesson, important message to share with our audiences. There are jobs in these areas. You know, we have 95% placement rates for our CDL truck drivers and for our diesel technicians. Companies in our area are looking to our students for jobs, and well-paying jobs as well. So check out our programs.
And as you mentioned, that these skills might not be taught in all the other programs. The nice part about this grant is we've been able to put it online. Any program in the country that wants to use our stuff will be out there for them to use.
Yeah. To date, we've had over 2,000 views on our videos from 76 countries around the world.
Wow.
So we really are pioneering CNG training online. Check it out.
$2.5 million very well spent.
Yes.
Right? So we've talked about CNG, we've talked about biodiesel, we've talked about electric. There are other alternative fuels out there.
Sure.
Why focus on these?
Well, for example, CNG, it's compressed natural gas. It's a nice transition towards hydrogen fuel. Where will hydrogen involve in the future for us? Obviously the production of hydrogen is the issue. We don't have the abundance or the cost to make it competitive with compressed natural gas, but at some point in time in the future, with technological improvements, they will have hydrogen at a cheap level, and as petroleum products become more expensive, then hydrogen becomes more economical to compete with it. That's another fuel that we're going to have to look at in the future. It's not quite here yet, but it certainly is on our radar.
Will what you've been doing with this grant money help you segue into that, do you think?
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, many of the skills, again, high compressed gas, that'll have to be handled with the same type of care. Just understanding that different types of fuels in general helps them. What's the difference between gasoline, diesel, natural gas, and now hydrogen? Where does that fit within the range of things that a first responder has to deal with?
Curriculum implementation of all this is one thing, but you've been able to purchase some hardware,
Yeah.
Yes.
some stuff. We've got some video, some stills of some of the things. Talk a little bit about what you've been able to buy with this grant.
Yeah, so the whole idea was to expand capacity in transportation-related jobs. So we've been able to buy, Class 8 diesel tractors that our students can take over the road for training. We've been able to buy 4-door tractor cabs, and it's just a detail where, to date, most of our cabs have been 2-door, and we have 4 students pile in the back, and they have to crawl over each other to get in the back seat for their class, over the road classroom. Now we can buy 4 doors vehicles to where all our students have their own escape route, basically, should something happen. We've been able to buy new trailers so we can start some trailer maintenance courses, bought a forklift so we can do forklift training for our students, as well as the electric vehicles that we can get started in, and some very specific trainers like a hybrid trainer and a CNG trainer, where our students can actually get their hands on in the classroom, take things apart, put them back together as needed, as opposed to ripping apart a perfectly good vehicle. They can be in a lab inside and play there.
Mm-hmm.
And with these vehicles, we can be the neutral party. We're not selling anybody anything. We are not a vendor of any sort. We're just exploring a technology. We can measure it. We can determine if it's as efficient as we think it's supposed to be, as reliable as it's supposed to be, are the maintenance issues as we expect them to be, and report that out to our industry. As a neutral, we're not, if it's good or if it's bad, we will report the facts. And
what has been the result of that part of the equation?
We're learning a lot. For example, just to fill a compressed natural gas vehicle, it depends which gas station you go to as to how to do it. So we've actually had to learn the skills of how to hook it up, how to turn on the pump, and you would think everybody knows how to fill up their car with gasoline. but the industry has enough variations
Yeah.
within that.
Not standardized yet.
One may be a lever just like you do for gasoline. The other may be another lever that clips the device on entirely different than what you would expect. So it's a lot of little surprises showing up for us, and we're excited to see where this will go.
But those are some things that down the line will probably be standardized
Yes,
out in the real world, right?
Yep.
I think so.
We hope so, but until then, it's kind of the Wild West,
You
we're-
got to be ready to do it.
and we're just handling it as it comes.
Sure.
So.
Let me throw it to both of you guys here, because is there anything you wanted to accomplish on the show here that we've not talked about? Share with our viewers.
Well, first and foremost, we're really appreciative of the government for providing us with this way to jumpstart it. The support from the college and the different programs across the college and departments have been great to work with. And lastly, our advisories. They've been right there with us, trying to help us and guide us as we get into this. And so it's been a really successful
Your
effort.
advisors being
Industrial advisors,
Yeah.
my advisory groups, yeah.
I think the thing that I want to share is thus far we've really been focusing on our students, training our students, but our next goal is really to take this out to the community and really offer community workshops. The community is going to be, they're going to move the market in these areas. They're really, they're going to purchase these vehicles that use alternative fuels and really create that alternative fuel market in Omaha. So we're going to start a series of workshops in CNG as well as electric vehicles, biodiesel, that is open to the public, free of charge, where they can learn about these technologies and what's available to them. So that's really what our next step is. And of course, you can always go to mccneb.edu/WID to look for those workshop trainings.
So the college is really serving two masters here. One, training students for industry out there that's already set and ready to go and needs those students who are educated in that respect, and then also training industry to get up to date, right?
That is correct.
Yeah,
And lastly, we have over 200 students already trained.
that's great.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways you talked about reaching out? Other ways for our viewers to get involved with the grant?
I primarily check out our trainings on our website, but we do have some other niche trainings I think that are of value to our industry partners. We are starting some interventionist training, so where if you have a CDL licensed employee who may be lacking in some skills, they can come to us and we can help shore up their deficiencies, for lack of a better word, some remedial training in some of the truck driving skills so that we can keep those truck drivers employed in our industry. We also have some soft skill training for those individuals, some forklift training. So we have a lot of ways that we can help companies out there keep their employees working.
There's standard training, there's niche training, there's online training,
Right.
on-campus training.
Yep, that's right. It's all about training.
Yeah.
And with the extra equipment we purchased, this allows us to reach out and do those things now. Since we were, with our regular program, we had maxed out our capacity, and this gives us the jumps to expand in all those areas.
And of course, this is just vital to our area. As you mentioned, we're a hub, transportation hub.
Yes.
And I mean, how far ahead of the curve is Metropolitan Community College with having experienced this grant money and what now, almost 3 years of experience in it?
I think we're pretty far ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to electric vehicles and biodiesel. Omaha Metro has some alternative fuel ventures. The Omaha Public Schools has purchased nearly 500 buses that use propane. The Metro Transit Authority, the city buses, those use compressed natural gas. Some of the bigger trucking companies are starting to invest in CNG. So we're starting to see these technologies embraced by community constituencies. But we really are cutting edge when it comes to biodiesel and electric vehicles, and we hope that translates similarly to the market.
Very good.
Yep.
Anything else, Kirk?
I'm good.
Very good. Kirk, Chris, thank you much. Appreciate the update on MCC's Alternative Fuels Grant. And thank you again for being with us on Metro and More. Our goal is to acquaint you with the mission, leadership, and the reach of the college. I'm Kent Pavelka for Metropolitan Community College. Bye.